Hi, and welcome back to Ralph's Kitchen, actually Ralph's Dining Area. Because until we get the house finished, we got family over there, but Braylee and I are living in a little studio apartment here. But anyway, today I am making chicken penne. And I've already lubricated my crock pot. I like to put a little bit of oil in it. I used olive oil today, but also you can use avocado oil. They're both healthy. They both do a good job, and they both stand up well to temperatures. So anyway, I'm making this today. I've already added 1 can of creamy chicken soup. Now, you can use 2 cans of that, but what I've done today is I also added 1 can of full cream milk. Now to this, I have already cut up 1 large yellow onion. I'm going to add that in. All of it. And I like to use, you can use the chicken broth. I like the Knorr's beef and the Knorr's chicken bouillon cubes. Do the same thing. They're a little concentrated, so instead of using a cup or so of the chicken broth, I will use 4 of these. And I should have opened at least 3 of them and only shown you opening 1, shouldn't I? But I'm learning, like I say, this is a learning process. And I forgot to bring my trash can out today, so I'll just have to throw the stuff on the floor and then sweep after I'm done before the next segment. So that's all in there. And I'll put this over in this chair here. Then I'm going to add, for a little extra kick, a little bit of crushed red pepper, okay? So kids are going to eat this too. They like hot stuff, but not as much as us. So I would say, you know, tablespoon or so, just to give it a little flame. And then, to give it that extra pizzazz, a little bit of, this is kind of to taste thing. I put probably a tablespoon to 2 tablespoons of chili powder. And then I like a lot of fresh ground pepper. I get mine at S&R. Right in the, you don't have to buy a new grind mill, you know, you just put this on your bottle and you go. And I like quite a bit of this, so we're going to give it a lot of good twists here. And that ought to be about enough. And then salt. Don't use regular ionized salt. Use either sea salt or the pink Himalayan sea salt. And so we're talking a couple of good dashes here, maybe a quarter, eighth to a full teaspoon of salt, depending on your taste. But the sea salt has got minerals, whereas regular salt doesn't. But Himalayan sea salt has even more minerals than your regular sea salt. Now then, I've got 1 full jar of whole pitted black olives. I'm going to go ahead and add those now, because the thing, whoops, come on, get in there. Now later I will be adding some mushrooms, and I've got some of the baby corn, little miniature corn, but now we're going to take and add our chicken. I have got 1.5 kilos of thighs and 1.5 kilos of drumsticks that I've already washed and prepared. They're all washed out here. And the cooking time on this, I'm going to kind of mix them up a little bit, it doesn't matter, but the cooking time on this, if you've got plenty of time, you can cook it on low for 6 hours. If you're a little rushed on time, which I had to do my shopping this morning, so I'm a little rushed, I'm going to do it on 400. Now, in case you didn't already know it, 400 on the low is about 200 degrees on your crock pot. High is about 300. So you got a 2-to-1 ratio, 3-to-2 ratio. I'll get it. So if it calls for a recipe, which this does, to cook for 6 hours on low, and you are rushed on time, just kick it up to high, and you can cook it in 4 hours. So that's it. All I have to do now is give it a little bit of a stir, put a lid on it, and I'll see you in about 4 hours. God bless. There we are now, 4 hours later. It looks like the chicken is done to perfection. And so, I'm going to do the final steps. Hallelujah. So, as you saw from that previous little clip there, everything is done perfection. Now at this point here, if this were breast and I had more time, if I had more time, I'd probably even do it with these wings and legs. I would go ahead and shred the chicken off and kind of have it float through the sauce. But because I'm rushed for time, I am going to just leave the chicken whole. Let me find a place to put this lid so it doesn't break. I'm just going to leave it whole and let the people contend with their own bones. Oops, I forgot my stir stick. Bear with me a minute. I'll be right back. I love wooden spoons. Don't give me that plastic junk. And metal tends to mess your pans up. So we're going to give it a little stir. Got plenty of broth there, so I don't have to add any for the noodles. And I like Barilla. I use Barilla for every noodle, for my macaroni, for the penne, for the spaghetti, because it's the real deal. It comes from Italy. So that's what I'm using tonight. It's a 500 gram box, about a pound, a little over a pound. And just dump the whole thing in there, kind of mix them down in there and get them all through and where they can get juiced up and cook right. Still don't have my trash can, so I'm going to put that on the floor and get rid of it later. Then, I'm going to add a full can of mushrooms, sliced. Sometimes, if I'm doing fancy Italian, when I say fancy Italian, you know, for a nice dinner, not that this isn't a nice dinner, but I sometimes go ahead to the expense and use the button garlic, and I just lost a noodle. Come back, you renegade, you. So now, I'm having a lot of trouble with them. These are wild ones. And then this isn't Italian, but because I'm in Asia, I'm going to use the little mini corns too for the kids' sake. Put those 2 cans of those in there and mix them in well. The main thing is to make sure that when I cover it back up, all the noodles are covered with juice so that they will get nice and tender. They're going to need to cook for about an hour or so more. They can cook for up to 2 hours, won't hurt them any. Now, you can't see that, and I'm not going to get up there to move the camera, but you might see that one piece of chicken, but it's pretty close to the top now. So by the time I put my 2 bags of sauce in there, it's going to be right to the brim. I like the bags because you can get the last drop out, and I only use Clara Olay, and there's a very good reason. If you can read that, let me bring that over there closer so you read that. See that? No MSG. No MSG. And that's very important. MSG is not good for you. MSG does bring out the flavor of the food. It is also a meat tenderizer, and that's the problem with it. Guess what? Just like it tenderizes the meat you're going to eat, it tenderizes the walls of your stomach, and so you can't digest your food as well. And that's not a good thing. That's not a good thing. So avoid MSG at all costs. I think I'm going to have an overflow problem here today, but that's okay. That's okay. Bear with me for a minute. I'm going to run in the kitchen and rinse my spoon off that fell so I can give that a little stir, and then we'll be ready for the final phase. La 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 la. Figaro, 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 Figaro. A little Italian there to go with the Italian dish. So now I want to work this sauce down through this juice. And I'm going to cut it down to low now for this last hour and a half to 2 hours. And I got just a little bit too much. Before I mix that sauce in, I think I'm going to skim some of this juice off. And I'm going to turn the camera off for that. You don't need to watch me skimming a bunch of water and fluids off. But I'll be back in about an hour and a half, 2 hours to show you the finished product. And so, bye-bye. Okay, after I shut off the video last time, I misinformed you I said I put it on low. I just put it on low while I was changing things. Then I had to put it on high because it takes an hour and a half to 2 hours to do the noodles so that they are just al dente and not too tough. And so it's been right about 2 hours, and they are perfect. They're a little bit al dente, but they're not mushy, and you don't want mushy noodles. I had to mop around the lid a little bit a few times because I did get it over full, but it's perfect. It's perfect. All it needs now is to put a little bit of grated Parmesan on top, and it is perfect. Perfect, perfect, perfect. I love cooking in my crock pots, this big 10-quarter and my little 1.5 liter. They're so nice. That food always comes out perfect. But anyway, so it's 4 hours on high or 6 hours on low for cooking your chicken. And then it's another hour and a half to 2 hours on high. I recommend strongly that you check it at an hour and a half. Mine went for 2 hours today, and it come out perfect. Anyway, I hope you'll be looking forward to my next recipe, and God bless you. Please come back and visit my American expat in Bangkok site often, and watch for my Ralph's Kitchen episodes. Bye.